If you've ever asked yourself whether you can actually make real money farming in a small town, this video is for you. By the end of this video, I'm going to share 3 things that have helped me build a profitable year-round farm business in Cody, Wyoming, which only has a population of just over 10,000 people. And if you haven't already, you should totally hit that subscribe button over here because I post new videos every week about how you can grow veggies in your backyard and sell them as a business. I'm Zach Buckle, and I'm a year-round veggie farmer in Cody, Wyoming. Right now, our farm is only about a half an acre of actual growing space, and we average about $1,000 a week of sales in the winter and $4,000 a week in the summer. And the reason I'm making this video is because almost everything I've learned about profitable farming, I've had to figure out for a small market. And most of the information out there about market farming is designed for selling into a big city or at least a town of 100,000 people. So if you want to farm and specifically farm in a small town, this video is for you. So let's get into the 3 tips. So the number 1 key to success in making money farming in a small town is building long-term relationships with every single human being that interacts with your business. I cannot emphasize enough how important this is, especially in a small town, because you just don't have hundreds or thousands of people to pull from like you do in a big city where there's just so many people. It doesn't necessarily matter if you build a relationship where they come to see you every single week. So in this context, you have to get to know every single customer that comes to your booth on a first name basis, ask how their day's going, how their week's going, what's going on in their life, basically become friends with them. Because you don't have a lot of options to sell to. So every single person that interacts with your booth, if you get them to come back and spend $10, $20 with you once a month, once a week, it adds up to thousands of dollars over the period of a couple years. So you only need a couple hundred people like that to make your business work really reasonably well. And ideally, you build a relationship with everybody that comes to your booth, and you can eventually transition to them to becoming veggie box customers, where they're spending anywhere from $200 to $400 just in the summer to get your veggie box. And that's consistent weekly income from that one customer. I have customers right now that bought my veggie box this year that I first met almost 10 years ago. I would actually mail them thank you cards, handwritten by me, signed by me, thanking them for supporting my business all the way back when I first started. And they are still buying from me. Over that period, they have spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 grand per person. So if they are only spending $10 once a month, it might not seem like a lot, but in a small town, it adds up to a lot over time. You have to get as many of those people to come back to your booth regularly as possible to make this work. So it's basically just about being a genuine human being, getting people to buy you before they buy your product, and that will help you succeed in a small town. So another key to success when running a farm like this in a small town is you have to grow a diverse range of high profit crops. You can't really do well on a farm of this scale by only growing 5 crops in a small town, because it's much harder to sell 100 pounds of salad mix at a good price to a few customers, because you have to make the small pool of people that you have to sell to buy more per order. So they're not just buying 1 bag of salad mix. Like if you were going to a big city, you could sell 100 pounds of salad mix and 100 people would buy that. But in a small town, you're only going to have like 5 or 10 people to sell that same volume of sales. So you have to have a diverse range so they could come to your booth and buy 4 or 5 things that they would normally buy at the store. So for example, behind me, we've got arugula, salad mix, turnips, carrots, celery, parsley, beets in this one greenhouse. And we're growing about 20 or 30 different crops on the farm right now. So that allows people to come to my business and not just spend $5 on 1 bag of salad mix. They're gonna buy salad mix, carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, turnips, and by the end of that, they're spending about $20. So one person spends $20 on 5 or 6 different crops instead of just $5 on one crop, which you can get away with in a city where you just have huge amounts of people that just want one thing. And especially if it's a bigger market where there's lots of other produce vendors, they might just come to your booth for one thing. But in a small town, you probably have less competition, but you have to have more diversity just to keep your booth interesting, your business interesting, because there's not as many other farms to pick from. So you have to make it so when they visit your booth, they spend more money. So you have to have the Goldilocks zone of diversity. You don't want to go too crazy and grow like 100 different crops, because that makes your business really inefficient and hard to run. And you also want to focus on high profit crops that actually make money on the scale that we're talking about. But you can't get away with just growing like 5 or 6 crops like some farms can when you're selling into a much bigger markets. So you have to have that Goldilocks zone of crop diversity. Now, if you're wondering what a high profit crop is, I have a complete list of the top 20 high profit crops we grow on my farm included in my free Backyard Farm Launchpad. In that list, you're gonna see the likely yields you're going to achieve on a 50-foot bed just like this, the revenue you're likely to achieve, and the pricing you should charge for that crop. So if you're interested in that, grab my free Backyard Farm Launchpad at the link in the description below. You'll also get a $20,000 quarter acre crop plan map as an example that you could try in your own backyard. You'll also get a no-dig farm setup guide, and you'll also get a free annual planting schedule that you can customize beginning and ending planting dates for about 30 different crops perfectly in your climate. So if that sounds cool, grab that at the link below, and I'll see you on the other side. So the last key to success when farming in a small town is trying to harvest and sell as close to year-round as possible. So this goes back to that customer relationship we talked about. So if you already are building this customer relationship to get people to come to your booth as close to weekly as possible, you want to keep them coming as close to year-round as possible too. Because again, you only have a small group of people to sell to. So in order to make a good annual revenue for your business, you need to keep them happy as close to annually as possible. So in my climate, that means transitioning a greenhouse like this all to winter crops starting around September. So we're gonna take all these tomatoes out in late September and then replant to stuff like spinach, carrots, green onions, and all crops that can take really deep cold that we can harvest literally through our winter in a very low-tech, unheated greenhouse like this. If you're in a warmer climate, it's even easier. You probably don't even need a greenhouse. I'm in zone 4B, Wyoming, where we get sometimes temperatures down to -20 Fahrenheit. So doing the year-round thing here is not very easy, but it's a lot easier if you're in zone 6 or higher, or if you're in zone 9, that is probably the best time of year for you to be growing most of the crops that I talk about on my channel. So the key to this is basically growing cold hardy crops that mature by your last 10-hour day, which in my climate is November 7th. Or if you don't have a 10-hour day, you're going to be making sure they're mature around the coldest time of year for you. So if you're in Florida or something and you don't even have a frost, you just want to make sure they mature around the coldest time of year for you, which is usually around late December, early January or something like that. And that's when your peak harvest time is going to be for stuff like radishes, broccoli, spinach, stuff like that. Every single climate's going to have different crops that are going to work best in this context. I'm in a pretty extreme climate, so I really can only grow the coldest tolerant crops. But if you're in a warmer climate, you could probably get away with growing broccoli, bok choy, all that kind of stuff right through the winter and keep those core group of customers happy. And again, if somebody is coming to your booth and spending $10 to $20 a week or a month, if you keep that going October through May, which is when a lot of farms just shut down and don't do much sales, you have made a whole bunch of money that you don't have to make in the summer. It makes your life a lot easier too. It's like you don't have to have the pressure to sell truckloads of produce. So once my crops are mature in early November, I am growing them all in a greenhouse, so that counts as one layer of protection. Then for every 10 degrees below freezing, I'll basically add another layer of protection, which is this row cover that you see here. And I use the lightest weight row cover. It's usually called AG19. I believe it can also be called 0.4 ounce if you look at other places, and it's the same thing, but AG19 row cover is what I use. It's relatively cheap, and then I'll just add more layers as the temperatures get colder, and then I'll remove them as soon as the nighttime temperatures bump up above about 25 degrees Fahrenheit, just to let the plants breathe, because if you leave the row cover on all winter, it will cause rot a lot of times, and your crop quality will go way down. So that's basically it. All right, so let's recap what we've talked about today. So the first tip is build long-term relationships with every single customer that interacts with your business. The longer you can keep people coming back and buying from you, the longer you're going to be in business. Second tip is grow a diverse range of high profit crops. Not too many, but not too few. You need that nice Goldilocks zone of high profit crops, and draw crops that draw people to your booth, like tomatoes or winter carrots, and then the really profitable crops that are a little bit harder to sell, like salad mix and spinach, that really make your business work. And the third tip is grow and sell as close to year-round as you possibly can. Every dollar that you earn from November through March is a dollar you don't have to earn in the summertime, and a customer that you don't have to reacquire. Finding new customers costs you money or time, one or the other. So the less time you have to spend doing that, the more profitable your business is gonna be in a small town like this. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, I wanna do this, but I have no idea where to start, that is exactly what I've built my Backyard Farming 101 mentoring program for. So in it, we go over everything you're gonna need to know to set up a farm like this, including sales and marketing, plant propagation, crop selection, greenhouse growing, winter growing, and everything you're gonna need to know to make this business work in a small town or even selling into a bigger market. The same strategies will work just fine. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can book a strategy call with me at the link below. In that call, we'll go over what your current situation is, what your goals are, and whether or not Backyard Farming 101 is a good fit for you. Worst case scenario is we have a really nice conversation and I send you on your way with some free resources that'll be perfect for whatever stage in the journey that you're at. So if that sounds cool, book a strategy call with me at the link below. And if you want to go deeper down the backyard farming rabbit hole, watch this video where I go over the top 20 high profit crops that we grow on our farm, including the revenue and yields you're likely to get per 50-foot bed, and my 2 cents on what it's like to grow them. So if that sounds cool, click here and I'll see you on the other side.